In the spotlight tonight is Jane Ann Liston from St Andrews. Her specialist subject is the life and works of Jacques Offenbach. Tony Luxon from Lancashire, a university lecturer. His subject is British films of the 1960s. Dr. Julie Cox from Durham, a radiologist, and her subject, the life and times of Arbella Stewart. And David Perrin from London, a retired teacher, whose subject is Wild Cats of the World. Hello, I'm John Humphreys and welcome to Mastermind. This is the programme that finds out how much people know and, more to the point, how much of it they can remember in 2 minutes. That's all they get. 2 minutes on their chosen subject and 2 minutes on general knowledge. At the end of this round, one of them will go through to the next round with the prospect of eventually, perhaps, winning a glass bowl and, more importantly, the most coveted title in the business, Mastermind. So, let's have our first contender, please. And your name is?
Jane Ann Liston.
Your occupation?
Local councillor.
And your chosen subject?
The life and works of Jacques Offenbach.
In 2 minutes, starting now, what was the surname of Jacques Offenbach's father, Isaac, before he changed it to the name of his native town?
Eberst.
Correct. Who was the director of the Paris Conservatory of Music who accepted the young Offenbach as a cello student in November 1833?
Cherubini.
Correct. Rossini called Offenbach the Mozart of the Champs-Élysées, but who, less deferentially, said his music was a dung heap on which all the swine of Europe wallowed?
Wagner.
Correct. Offenbach, who didn't invent or use the name Can-Can, gave what title to the now famous work associated with the dance in his operetta Orphée aux Enfers?
The Galop Infernal.
Correct. Which waltz did Offenbach write for the Concordia Journalist Club Carnival Ball held in Vienna in January 1864?
Abendblätter.
Correct. The famous barcarolle from Offenbach's Les Contes d'Hoffmann had originally been composed by Hoffmann for which opera?
De Rijn-Nixon.
Correct. After a successful tour to London in 1844, Offenbach converted to Roman Catholicism in order to marry whom?
Herminie d'Alcan.
Correct. What was the original name of the tiny wooden theatre on the Champs-Élysées that Offenbach leased in June 1855 and renamed the Théâtre Bouffe Parisien?
Théâtre de Genève.
No, Marigny or Salle Lacaze, who, in collaboration with Offenbach's chief librettist Ludwig Halevi, provided the libretto for Orphée aux Enfers?
Hector Crémieux.
Correct. Offenbach frequently staged many of his works in which German spa town, which now holds an annual Jacques Offenbach festival?
Bad Ems.
Yes, a diary by Offenbach was published in 1877, which recounted his visit the preceding year to which country?
The United States.
Yes, as a boy, Offenbach played the cello in Cologne bars as part of a trio with his brother Julius on violin and which of his sisters on the piano?
Isabelle.
Yes, what is the name of the soprano discovered by Offenbach who made her debut in 1855 in Les Violoneux and later starred in many of his operettas?
Hortense Schneider.
Hortense Schneider it was. You had no passes there, Jane Ann Liston. You have scored 12 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Tony Luxon.
Your occupation?
Lecturer.
And your chosen subject?
British films of the 60s.
Films of the 60s, 2 minutes, starting now. Which city provided the setting for the 1960 film Hell is a City?
Manchester.
Correct. In which Hammer horror film do the adventures of newlyweds Gerald and Marianne Harcourt begin when their car breaks down on a lonely road?
Taste the Blood of Dracula.
The Kiss of the Vampire. In the 1962 film The Loneliness of the Long-Distance Runner, which future TV star made his big screen debut as a Borstal boy named Bosworth?
Pass.
What was the title of Bill Norton's 62 radio play on which the film Alfie was based?
Pass.
Who abandoned his usual role as a downtrodden loser to play the upper-class dilettante Sam Marlowe in the 1962 film The Girl on the Boat?
Alec Guinness.
Norman Wisdom. Who wrote the screenplay for the film The Servant and appeared in it himself, credited as Society Man?
Harold Pinter.
Yes, in Crooks Anonymous, a reformed petty crook, Dandy Forsdyke, played by Leslie Phillips, gets which job in a department store that puts temptation in his way again?
As a cashier.
Father Christmas. Founded in 1958 by John Osborne and Tony Richardson, which production company went on to make films such as Saturday Night and Sunday Morning and The Loneliness of the Long-Distance Runner?
Woodfall.
Yes, in which type of establishment did Billy Fisher, the hero of Billy Liar, work as a clerk?
In a funeral parlour.
Correct. Whose first film as a producer was Zulu, a film in which he also co-starred?
Stanley Baker.
Yes, who made her first credited screen appearance as a secretary called Eliza in Charlie Bubbles?
Liza Minnelli.
Yes, founded by the Wolf brothers in the late 1940s, which production company's films included The L-Shaped Room and Oliver?
Romulus.
Yes, better known as a jazz singer, who wrote the screenplay for the 1967 film about swinging London, Smashing Time?
Johnny Dankworth.
George Melly. James Hill's 1965 film A Study in Terror sees Sherlock Holmes on the trail of whom?
Dracula.
Jack the Ripper. Who wrote the songs featured in Ken Loach's film Poor Cow?
Donovan.
Yes, best known for his leading role in a British television sitcom, who made his screen debut in a minor role in the 1965 film The Party's Over?
Pass.
Well, I can tell you because the buzzer has gone. It was Gordon Kay. So that was one of your passes. You had two others. The title of Bill Norton's radio play on which Alfie was based was Alfie Elkins and His Little Life. And it was John Thor, no less, in The Loneliness of the Long-Distance Runner. So you had those three passes, Tony Luxon. You have 8 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Julie Cox.
Your occupation?
Radiologist.
And your chosen subject?
The life and times of Arbella Stewart.
Arbella Stewart, in 2 minutes, starting now. Which lieutenant of the Tower of London was dismissed from his post on suspicion of having embezzled gold belonging to Arbella Stewart?
Sir William Wadd.
Yes. According to the confession of the Jesuit priest James Young, which English exile and recusant organised a plot to smuggle Arbella Stewart out of England to the continent?
Sir Thomas Stanley.
Sir William Stanley. Who was Arbella's personal physician who was present at the post-mortem held after her death in the Tower of London in 1615?
Dr. Mountford.
Correct. What was the name of the eldest son of Alessandro Farnese, Duke of Parma, who was considered as a potential match for Arbella Stewart?
Ranuncio Farnese.
Correct. Which Warwick schoolmaster dedicated a volume of his Epigrammata to Arbella Stewart in 1607?
Pass.
What is the name of the ship that overtook and captured Arbella Stewart on her attempted escape to Calais?
Adventure the Pinnacle.
Adventure, yes. In which estate did Henry Grey, Earl of Kent, lodge Arbella Stewart in 1603 until she was invited by her cousin King James I to attend his court?
Rest House.
Yes. Which future Holy Roman Emperor was briefly considered by Robert Cecil as a possible husband for Arbella Stewart?
Pass.
From which daughter of Henry VII did Arbella Stewart inherit her claim to the throne of England?
Margaret Tudor.
Yes. What relationship was Arbella Stewart to Henry Lord Darnley, the ill-fated second husband of Mary Queen of Scots?
She was his niece.
Yes. What was the surname of the chaplain and tutor at Hardwick Hall who acted as an agent for Arbella Stewart and later hanged himself?
Starkey.
Yes. Which monarch asked Arbella Stewart to give him the services of her lutenist, Thomas Cutting, on whose behalf she wrote a reference in Latin?
Christian of Denmark.
Correct. Which Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster was charged by warrant to arrest Arbella after her secret marriage to William Seymour was discovered?
Croft.
Parry. Under which pseudonym was the pamphlet A Conference about the Next Succession to the Crown of England published in 1594?
Pass.
With which gentleman did Arbella Stewart leave East Barnet in the first stage of her attempted escape from England in 1611?
Markham.
Yes. Which Elizabethan courtier visited Arbella at Shrewsbury House and entertained her by reading the story, I've started so I shall finish, entertained her by reading the story of Drusilla from Ariosto's Orlando Furioso?
Could you repeat the question, please?
No, I'm afraid, because time is up.
Cecil.
Sir John Harrington.
Okay.
You had 3 passes there. The pseudonym was Richard Dolman. It was Matthias who was briefly considered as a possible husband for Arbella Stewart. Yeah. And the Warwick schoolmaster in question was John Owen. So, 3 passes. You have scored, Julie Cox, 10 points. Now, before I introduce our 4th contender, I need to point out that he's profoundly deaf, and so he'll be lip-reading. So, if you notice that I'm reading slightly more slowly and deliberately than usual, then that's the reason. So, our next contender, please. And your name is?
David Perrin.
Your occupation?
Retired school teacher.
And your chosen subject?
Wild cats of the world.
Wildcats of the world in 2 minutes, starting now. The bay cat is confined exclusively to which Southeast Asian island?
Sri Lanka?
Borneo. Which species is restricted to the small Japanese island where it was discovered in the 1960s?
Iriomoto.
Correct. Which South American cat can swivel its hind feet through 180 degrees, allowing it to descend head first from trees?
Margay cat.
Correct. Canadian lynxes are specialist feeders preying almost entirely on which member of the rabbit family?
Horseshoe hares?
The snowshoe. What anatomically connects cheetahs, fishing cats, flat-headed cats and Iriomote cats?
They can't retract their claws.
Correct. By what name are melanistic leopards commonly known when their markings are masked by the colour of the background fur?
Sorry, could you read that again?
By what name are melanistic leopards commonly known when their markings are masked by the colour of the background fur?
Black panthers.
Correct. Which is the only species of wildcat with subspecies spanning the breadth of the Old and New Worlds in the Northern Hemisphere?
Could you start at the beginning, please?
Which is the only species of wildcat with subspecies spanning the breadth of the Old and New Worlds in the Northern Hemisphere?
Lynx?
Correct. When hunting, the serval relies predominantly on which of its senses?
Hearing?
Correct. Which national park in India is the only major remaining habitat of the Asian lion?
The Gur?
Correct. Which South American cat inhabits rocky terrain above 3,000 metres where it preys on viscacas and chinchillas?
Palace cat?
The Andean mountain cat. Which lynx, also known as the desert lynx, has a name derived from Turkish for black-eared?
Caracal?
Caracal is correct. You had no passes. David Perrin, you have scored 8 points. And that brings us to the end of our first round on specialist subjects, so let's have a look at the scores. In joint third place with 8 points are Tony Luxon and David Perrin. In second place with 10 is Julie Cox. In the lead with 12, Jane Ann Liston. So to round two now and general knowledge. And now, if there is a tie at the end of this round, then the number of passes will be taken into account. And the contender with the fewest passes will be declared the winner. If there's still a tie on points, then there will be a 5-question playoff. So let's get on with the general knowledge round. And let me first ask Tony Luxon to join us again, please. And you are a university lecturer. What do you lecture in?
I mainly help overseas students if they've got academic problems, if they find it difficult to write essays, for example, or read effectively, then I give them advice on that.
British films of the 60s, your subject, 8 points on that. Certainly, we remember some of the films from that era, Look Back in Anger, and Saturday Night and Sunday Morning. The sort of kitchen sink dramas is what we remember, I suppose.
I think what you would find is that British films changed along with the 60s. So that you had kind of social realism at the early 60s, but one of the key films was Hard Day's Night by Richard Lester. And that kind of changed the way people looked at things, and large, big US studios invested a lot in Britain. And then they went bankrupt at the end of the 60s, and they took all the money out of Britain, and that was that.
Well, you had 8 points with your knowledge of British films of the 60s. Let's see how you do with general knowledge. 2 minutes, starting now. What name is given to the manipulation and massage of the feet to diagnose and cure various ailments?
Reflexology.
Correct. Which naval battle took place in December 1939 off the coast of Uruguay?
Battle of the River Plate.
Yes. Jennifer Saunders is said to have based which television sitcom on the life of the top PR woman Lynn Franks?
Pass.
The River Wear flows for most of its length through which county?
Lancashire.
Durham. In which Jane Austen novel does Louisa, one of Charles Musgrove's sisters, fall off the cob at Lyme Regis?
Persuasion.
Yes. Which Japanese city is the setting for Puccini's opera Madame Butterfly?
Kyoto.
Nagasaki. Who took over from Nick Brown as head of the Department of Environment, Food and Rural Affairs in the aftermath of the foot-and-mouth crisis in 2001?
Margaret Beckett.
Yes, which chemical element occurs in about 10 allotropes, which themselves occur in 3 categories, black, white and red, the latter being used in the striking surface of safety matches?
Magnesium.
Phosphorus. In Greek mythology, which beautiful youth and lover of Aphrodite was killed by a boar and transformed into an anemone?
Narcissus.
Adonis. In 2001, which striker became the first British player to win the European Footballer of the Year award since Kevin Keegan in 1979?
Pass.
Which artist who lived from 1923 to 2004 created a series of cartoons of stout little girls and their equally stout ponies?
Farewell.
Yes. What did both Malcolm Campbell and his son Donald call the boats they used for their water speed record attempts?
Bluebird.
Yes. Which author created the former Wall Street stockbroker and CIA agent Jack Ryan?
Clancy.
Yes. In which constellation is the group of stars known as the Pleiades?
Pass.
Lindsay Buckingham, Stevie Nicks and Christine McVie have all been members of which group?
Fleetwood Mac.
Yes, the important Roman city of Leptis Magna, founded by the Phoenicians, is situated in which present-day African country?
Libya.
Libya is the correct answer. You had 3 passes there. The Pleiades are in the constellation of Taurus. The striker in question, you'll kick yourself, as it were, was Michael Owen. And Jennifer Saunders, that TV sitcom was Ad Fab, absolutely fabulous. 3 passes, you had 8 points. Tony Luxton, you now have 17 points. And now David Perrin again, if he would, please. Well, David, you got 8 points with your knowledge of wildcats. What about wildcats in this country? Because there are fewer and fewer of them, apparently.
I know 1 or 2. There's the Scottish wildcat, which is part of the European wildcat, and it used to be all over the country, and gradually got eradicated. For years now, they've, especially I think it is on the north and the west side, they've been mixing with feral cats, ex-domestic cats. So it's very hard to actually say that they are pure Scottish wildcats anymore.
Well, you had 8 points. With your knowledge of wildcats, we shall now test your general knowledge in 2 minutes, starting now. Who in Greek mythology was given a box which she disobediently opened to release all the ills of human life?
Pandora?
Yes. Which substance used in perfume making is obtained naturally from the male of a species of deer?
Musk?
Yes. Beethoven left his hometown of Bonn in 1792 to study with which composer in Vienna?
Sorry, which composer?
With which composer did Beethoven study in Vienna?
Mozart?
Haydn. Which former Beatle established his own record label, Dark Horse, in 1974?
George Harrison?
Correct. In Through the Looking Glass, what is the name of Alice's cat?
Cheshire Grin?
Dinah. What term is used for the permitted way of killing animals for meat according to the laws of Islam?
Halal?
Correct. Which company did the Phoenix Group purchase from BMW for £10 in May 2000?
Heinz?
Rover Group. Who resigned as leader of the Labour Party in June 1983 after a disastrous showing in the general election earlier that month?
Mr. Kinnock?
Michael Foot. What word, now meaning to pamper, described a lamb or other young animal reared by hand, which then became a family pet?
Dolly?
Cosset. Which British colony in the South Atlantic has Jamestown as its capital?
Which
Which British colony in the South Atlantic?
The South Georgia Islands, Falklands?
St Helena. 8 years after becoming the first man to swim the English Channel, which swimmer drowned while trying to swim the Niagara Rapids in 1883?
Webb?
It was indeed Matthew Webb. You had no passes, David Perrin. You had 8 points. You now have 13 points. And now Julie Cox, if she'd join us again, please. And you're a radiologist, so it's Dr. Julie Cox.
That's right, yes.
Talk about our Bella Stewart. You did
Yes.
terribly well. I think a lot of people might say never heard of her.
That's right. She's a very interesting character. She's sometimes called England's lost queen, and she was a first cousin to James I, and for a long time, kind of in Elizabeth's, the end of the Elizabethan era, she was thought to be a very strong contender to succeed Elizabeth. As it was, it kind of never really came to pass, and James ascended to the throne without any sort of bloodshed, because a lot of people were fearing there'd be a revolution at the end of Elizabeth's era. But a very interesting story, I think.
Well, 10 points on our Bella Stewart. Let's give you 2 minutes now on general knowledge, starting now. Which guerrilla leader acquired his nickname in about 1953 from an Argentine interjection meaning, hey you?
Che Guevara,
Yes, in which film did the expression, may the force be with you, originate?
Star Wars,
Yes, which painter, one of the leading figures of the surrealist movement, worked as a designer for a wallpaper factory before becoming a full-time painter in 1926?
Gauguin,
Magritte. Which of Shakespeare's plays contains a subplot featuring the braggart Parolles?
pass.
Which religious leader is known as Al-Baba in Arabic?
Pass.
What is stored in a Leyden jar?
Pass.
Which plant has varieties called tiger and leopard, both having orange flowers and dark spots?
Lily,
Yes. In which London thoroughfare are the Royal Courts of Justice situated?
Lincoln's Inn,
The Strand. Which comedy team had a 91 UK top 10 hit with Always Look on the Bright Side of Life?
Mortimer and Reeves,
Monty Python's Flying Circus. Mount Everest stands on the border of Chinese Tibet and which other country?
Nepal,
Yes. Which Greek goddess turned Actaeon into a stag when she discovered him watching her while she bathed?
Sina,
No, Artemis. Which politician's cabinet posts include Secretary of State for the Environment from 1979 to 83, a role which saw him take special responsibility for Liverpool after the riots of 1981?
Heseltine,
Yes. Who was unwell, according to the title of a play by Keith Waterhouse?
Geoffrey Bernard,
Yes. Who was the first American president to represent the present-day Republican Party, which was founded in 1854?
Lincoln,
Yes. The Battle of Borodino, one of the bloodiest in the Napoleonic Wars, was fought on the 7th of September 1812, about 70 miles west of which city?
Paris,
Moscow. Which composer was born in Oldham in 1902 and died on the island of Ischia in 1983?
Benjamin Britten,
Sir William Walton. Which writer under the name Henry Graham made a cameo appearance as an English insurance broker in Francois Truffaut's Oscar-winning film Day for Night?
pass.
And you had a total there of 4 passes. It was Graham Greene who starred in that film, well, made a cameo appearance in that film. You keep electricity, static electricity, in a Leyden jar, it seems. The religious leader known as Al-Baba is the Pope. And Parolles was in All's Well That Ends Well. You had those 4 passes. You had 10 points. Julie Cox, you now have 17 points. And Jane Ann Liston now, finally. And you are a councillor. We never seem quite sure in this country how we should regard our councillors, do we? Whether we think they're great people doing a great job or whether we actually need local government at all.
Well, I think the last survey I had seen, this was in Scotland, it would appear that local councillors were more highly regarded than MSPs and MPs.
Well,
which I think
not
is
difficult, some might say.
I think that's
but,
terribly unfair on MSPs and MPs who are doing a very good job on the whole.
Your subject is Jacques Offenbach. We all know what we think we know about the Can-Can, but we don't know much else about Offenbach. He wrote the tune for the American Marines, the tune that the American Marines have now used as their anthem, apparently.
That's right. I would say that most people in this hall will know 4 tunes by Offenbach, even if they don't realise it. The American Marines is more commonly known in this country as the Bold Gendarmes.
Ah,
and
remind us, I don't, do you sing? Give us a...
Yes.
Remind us of the tune. How does it go?
La 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 la.
Right. Well, thank you for that, and thank you for the rendition. Now, You did well with Offenbach. Let's see how you do with general knowledge. 2 minutes, starting now. At the 2002 Winter Olympics, at which sport did a British women's team win gold?
Curling.
Correct. Which British hereditary title created by James I in May 1611 was, according to his letter patent, a new dignity between barons and knights?
Baronet.
Yes. Which country group, whose records were boycotted by some American radio stations when they spoke out against the war in Iraq, consists of Emily Robeson, Natalie Maines and Marty Maguire?
Pass.
The painting Rain, Steam and Speed, the Great Western Railway, 1844, expressed which artist's intense interest in the changes brought by the Industrial Revolution?
Pass.
Which two-word Latin phrase is used for the characters or the list of the cast in a play?
Dramatis personae.
Correct. There are two forms of wrestling at international level. Freestyle is one. Which is the other?
All in.
Greco-Roman. Which is the most northerly country in South America?
Venezuela.
Colombia. In ancient mythology, which bird associated with the worship of the sun was reborn from its own ashes?
Phoenix.
Yes. Robin Williams and Pam Dawber played the title characters in which television comedy series?
Pass.
Which British film director was nominated for an Oscar for his last film, A Passage to India?
Lean.
Yes. Published in 1950, the cookbook Mediterranean Food, which introduced British housewives to the delights of pasta and pizza, was written by whom?
Elizabeth Luard.
Elizabeth David.
Oh.
The unit of currency in Panama is named after which Spanish explorer?
Cortez.
Balboa. What word meaning belle in French is used for a glass frame under which seedlings are forced?
Cloche.
Correct. Which confection consisting of crushed almonds or hazelnuts with a brown sugar coating is named after the French marshal whose cook invented it?
Marzipan.
Praline. Which television personality's autobiography, Memoirs of an Unfit Mother, was first published in 2001?
Anne Robinson.
Yes. Which Norwegian invention, originally designed for dispensing insecticides, was developed in 1941 by Lyle... Finish the question. Developed in 1941 by Lyle D. Goodhue.
A plane. A spraying plane.
I'm not sure that'll quite do. It was the aerosol, but you were pretty close. But there's a specific point, I think, about the aerosol. So, you had three passes. Robin Williams and Pam Dawber were Mork and Mindy. The painting we were looking for, the railway painting, was by Turner. And that country group was the Dixie Chicks. Three passes, you had 12 points. You now have 19 points. So, at the end of the general knowledge round, let's have a look at the scores. In third place with 13 points, David Perrin. Joint second place with 17 points are Julie Cox and Tony Luxon. In first place, 2 points ahead with 19 points, Jane Ann Liston. Which means, of course, that Jane Ann Liston goes through to the next round and moves a step closer, maybe, to becoming our Mastermind champion. Congratulations to her. Please join us next time for more Masterminds. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.